There are people who come in your life sometimes to be there for a season. They weren't meant to be there always. Sometimes we find ourselves hooked up with people that we think are there for a lifetime, but they were only supposed to be there for a season.
Just Meghan Markle's stage. We're expected to buy it. But she said she was in the trenches. She alludes to being in the trenches when she was in the British royal family. Girl, you lived in a castle. Like
the 2023 BET Awards were expected to be a dazzling night glitter glam. A few viral moments, nothing out of the ordinary. But what unfolded was far from typical. Tyler Perry, usually calm and behind the scenes, someone more known for his philanthropic heart and close friendship with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, stepped forward not to accept a trophy but to deliver something far heavier, a quiet, precise reckoning. The moment he opened his mouth, it was clear this wasn't just another acceptance speech, it was the unraveling of a bond. The voicing of a long simmering truth. Perry's tone remained even, never theatrical or emotional, but every word carried the weight of betrayal. He spoke of how some people treat generosity as if it were their right, not a gift. He spoke of those who accept help with open arms only to vanish once they've regained their footing. He didn't need to name names. Everyone in the room knew exactly who he meant. What was left unsaid echoed louder than anything he uttered. Allowed to understand what led to that moment, you'd have to rewind to 2020 when Harry and Meghan, newly independent from the royal family, found themselves adrift. Their split from the monarchy had been a global spectacle. But beneath the headlines was a more sobering truth. They were famous and vulnerable. With no stable home, no guaranteed income, and no security in Hollywood terms, they were radioactive. That's when Tyler Perry stepped in, an unexpected lifeline in the chaos. This wasn't just a favor.
Palace has confirmed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be returning as working members of the royal family. Prince Harry and Meghan stepped down from royal duties last year.
Perry handed over the keys to his sprawling $18 million estate in Beverly Hills, not a guest room, not a wing, the entire house, and with it, complete privacy and protection. He arranged for round-the-clock security, managed utilities, and absorbed every burden of hosting, not for days, but for months. He didn't just give them shelter, he gave them sanctuary. What's more, Meghan
Markle recently said that you reached out to her and said, come, you can live in my home.
Yeah, it was a very difficult time for them. And what I know about the two of them, and I wish the world knew how much they love. These two people love each other. They found each other out of
it was leaned on him emotionally. According to insiders, she called frequently, leaning into him as a confidant, sometimes tearfully. He served as a guide, a listener, and in some ways, a lifeline. And yet, what unfolded in the years that followed was not gratitude, it was silence. When the couple began signing colossal deals, lucrative contracts with streaming giants like Netflix and Spotify, one might have expected them to acknowledge the man who had shielded them when no one else would. But there was no public thank you, no private gesture of appreciation, not even a symbolic offering. It was as though Perry's contribution had been erased. And then came the speech, the one that felt like the quiet thunderclap of a long-buried truth. Calmly, Perry told the crowd that he had once given everything to someone, his trust, his home, his security, and they disappeared the moment they didn't need him. His voice didn't rise, but the message struck like a hammer. It was a reckoning. And those who had followed the backstory knew exactly who the veiled target was. The strain between Perry and Meghan had been growing for years. But one particular incident is said to have crystallized it all. Sources close to Perry say that Meghan, without hesitation, requested to use his private jet, no mention of costs, schedules, or even polite logistics. She assumed it was hers for the asking. When Perry hesitated, not even declined, just paused, she allegedly became irate, accusing him of backing away from a shared purpose. That was the moment Perry's perspective shifted. It was no longer empathy he felt, but disappointment. Later, he would confide to a friend that what began as compassion had become something else entirely: entitlement. The calls stopped being requests and started sounding like demands. The lines blurred. His generosity had become invisible. His house, his time, his resources, none of it seemed to register anymore. It
or my help. Some of y'all know the rest. I just wanted to come on and just tell everybody, just be as calm as you can.
Was no longer kindness being received. It was an expectation being fulfilled. Back in 2018, Perry didn't even know Meghan personally. But after watching the firestorm of criticism following her royal wedding, he reached out in silent solidarity. He told her he was praying for her. She didn't reply at first. It wasn't until 2020, in desperation, that she finally called. By then, she and Harry were vulnerable, isolated in Canada, with their security on the verge of being revoked and the press closing in. It was a moment of fear. And Perry answered without hesitation. He offered her everything, his home, his protection, and his belief that it was the right thing to do, but the dynamic changed. What began as compassion evolved into obligation, at least from Meghan's side. And once the crisis passed and the camera started rolling again, Perry became background noise. He watched them secure their future through media deals, but never once was he looped in, acknowledged, or credited in any meaningful way. Slowly, the realization sank in. He had not been seen as a friend but as a tool. He never wanted repayment, but he expected respect.
Meghan Markle is in crisis after a series of epic disasters, including the total failure of her tell-all interview with Emma Grede, allegations against her BFF and Lilibet's godfather, no less, Tyler Perry, and now this from her allies at People magazine, her favorite publication, which has gone public on Kate's summer of strength. Writing, there are some major shifts coming as Princess Kate privately rebuilds after a year of cancer treatment. She's stepping out with a new purpose and the poise of a queen in waiting. Nothing's working. And People magazine, which she has just spent the past 2 years coveting, has decided to become Team Catherine all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how things are shifting continually, always shifting to the downfall. Meghan can't ever seem to climb up to get above all the things that are happening to her. And anything that she does will continually fail. She cannot seem to rise above all the backlash that she gets. And I personally, Dan, believe it is going to continue to happen and get worse until she is able to make a reckoning for all the horrible things that she has done. No one's going to give her grace. No one's going to give her a real opportunity to shine the way she thinks she should be shining, because there is this immense amount of negativity that Meghan created off of the back of the late queen. And I think Meghan hasn't realized the strength, the power that the late queen had, because this is the reason how she treated the late queen and how she treated the royal family. People will never forget, but Meghan wants to keep trying, like people should just take this as a new moment and let her shine. It will never, ever, ever happen. She has done horrible things to a very powerful and beloved woman of the monarchy. She cannot move forward, ever. It's just not going to happen. But it is so fun to watch this happen because we see the payback now. The payback is how you are going to be received forever until you make a reckoning. So yeah, we love it. And it will happen continually.
On call, a message, something. What he got was silence. As time passed, it became clear to him that Meghan had not only used his resources but also his emotional generosity, and once that well ran dry, she walked away. Behind closed doors, Perry admitted he had been blind to the warning signs. At first, he saw a woman in distress. Later, he saw someone who had learned to weaponize that distress. What began with tears on the phone became a narrative that excluded him entirely. Once success came knocking. So when he stood on stage at the BET Awards and said, "Some people take blessings like they're owed, but they never give them back." It was more than poetic reflection. It was the breaking of silence. And it wasn't fury he projected, it was the quiet, aching clarity of someone who had finally seen the truth. He wasn't lashing out. He was letting go. And in doing so, he reminded the world of something deeply human, that even the kindest souls have their limits, that even the most generous acts deserve recognition. And that silence, after everything he gave, speaks volumes. Tyler Perry had once extended extraordinary generosity, yet what he received in return was a silence that stung deeper than words. There was no acknowledgement, no attempt at repayment, not even a basic effort to make amends. It became heartbreakingly clear he had been used. The gratitude he was shown was surface level, the relationship one-sided. While Perry had seen this pattern before, acquaintances, relatives, and others who only reached out in times of need, he never expected it from people he had gone to such great lengths to support, especially not from them, and certainly not from her. Perry hadn't just offered help, he gave them safety, protection, and shelter when the world turned on them. In the wake of Harry and Meghan's break from royal life,
it's like a web an absolute web, whatever direction, you know. And as for Tyler Perry, the people are believing these things because he's connected to Meghan Markle. People are looking for the bad, and the bad seem to align themselves with the bad, and the good connect with the good, you know. So yeah, I just it's a royal mess.
Perry opened the doors to his $18 million Beverly Hills estate, and when his own private security team wasn't enough, Harry and Meghan hired Gavin D. Becker and Associates, one of the most elite private security firms in the country, known for protecting high-profile figures like Tom Hanks and Jeff Bezos. The cost reportedly ran upwards of $8,700 per day, and expense Perry is said to have fully covered. Even with security, the intrusion didn't stop. Paparazzi drones flew alarmingly close, sometimes within 20 feet, trying to capture images of the couple and their newborn son at Perry's direction. Security responded swiftly to these invasions. It's estimated Perry spent between $140,000 and $200,000 on accommodations, protection, and living expenses during their stay, though he's never disclosed the exact figures. The implication is clear: his assistants came without expectations. He gave them the sanctuary they desperately needed during their most vulnerable time. Still, as time passed, the absence of gratitude became glaring. Harry and Meghan, who had since inked massive deals with Spotify and Netflix, never offered to repay Perry not a single gesture of appreciation, not even a discussion about covering some of the costs. And now, in the face of Perry's own adversity, that silence has grown deafening. When Derek Dixon brought forward shocking accusations against Tyler Perry, alleging years of physical abuse, many expected a show of solidarity from Meghan, especially given everything Perry had done for her. This is the same man who offered her not only his home and money but also emotional comfort, who defended her on Oprah, drawing parallels between the royal family's treatment of her and the tactics of an abuser. He even became godfather to her daughter, Lilibet. But in Perry's hour of need, Meghan was nowhere to be found. Critics argue her silence is revealing perhaps more than any words she could have spoken. It portrays a woman who readily accepts generosity but turns her back when the people who helped her face difficult times. Her silence speaks not just to a single incident but to a broader pattern of self-preservation. Supporting Perry now could pose a risk to the brand she's so carefully cultivated. And so she remains quiet. Royal commentators and public relations analysts have noted a troubling trend. Meghan often withdraws whenever controversy touches those in her orbit. For example, her planned charity appearance in Los Angeles in June 2025, an event intended to highlight her accomplishments, was abruptly postponed amid rising tensions surrounding Perry's legal troubles. The venue, the Natural History Museum, would have hosted one of Meghan's most significant public moments this year. Yet she chose to cancel rather than face questions about Perry. Insiders claim this wasn't merely a scheduling issue, but a strategic retreat. This isn't the first time Meghan has distanced herself from controversy involving those close to her. Even criticism of her Netflix show With Love, Meghan was
Meghan Markle is in crisis after a series of epic disasters, including the total failure of her tell-all interview with Emma Grede, allegations against her BFF and Lilibet's godfather, no less, Tyler Perry,
reportedly met with disbelief rather than reflection. Dismissive responses like "this is a thing in 2025," reportedly muttered after criticism about her costly kitchenware and lack of cooking skills, suggested she was more concerned with maintaining image than absorbing feedback. Public perception appears to be shifting. According to a May 2025 YouGov poll, only 20% of British citizens now view Meghan favorably, down dramatically from past years, while 65% hold a negative opinion. Even in the US, nearly half of respondents expressed disapproval of her. These numbers are the lowest since Meghan first entered the public eye. Her tendency to disappear or remain silent when uncomfortable questions arise has become part of the narrative surrounding her. This silence is now starting to harm her career. Test screenings for the second season
popped up in Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary with Prince Harry and absolutely tore to pieces the British royal family, indeed saying that he would not have agreed to become the godfather of Princess Lilibet if it meant attending the christening in Britain. Remember, that would have been a critic
of With Love. Meghan reportedly failed to resonate with viewers even among her usual base. Netflix executives are said to be growing concerned. Her podcast with Lemonada Media, initially expected earlier in the year, has been delayed to 2025. While some suggest the delay is about aligning with other projects, insiders point to fears that her declining popularity could taint the release behind the scenes. Support for her projects is quietly eroding. Hours after Perry's reported BET Awards comments, a key producer pulled out of a Netflix project linked to Meghan. Another potential investor remarked that he had no interest in being associated with something this toxic. Perhaps the most telling sign of Meghan's disconnect came during a podcast interview on Aspire with Emma. When asked how she planned to rehabilitate her image, rather than acknowledging any missteps, she replied, "I would ask everyone."
Meghan is coming under pressure here is because she has a track record of throwing very significant friends under the bus at the slightest sign of trouble.
To tell the truth, the implication was clear. She believes the problem lies with public misunderstanding, not with her own conduct. In January 2025, Meghan returned to Instagram with a video of her running on a beach, tracing 2025 into the sand. It was an image-heavy moment designed to signal renewal. But rather than addressing the genuine issues surrounding her friends under fire, public trust waning, it only reinforced her tendency to favor symbolism over substance. Meghan Markle's failure to publicly stand by Tyler Perry isn't merely a matter of personal betrayal. It exposes a deeper tendency to prioritize image over integrity, control over connection. Her ongoing silence in moments that demand character, not convenience, has created a growing perception of someone who takes far more than she gives. As her brand continues to erode and opportunities quietly fade, one message rings louder than ever. Sometimes, silence is the loudest answer of all, and for Meghan, that silence may cost her everything.
This individual appears to have been setting Tyler Perry up. They say that they are alleging that this is a scam and saying, quote, "Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will."
The team